Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Luis Chavez. I'm a photographer and filmmaker based out of Southern California. And in today's video, I just wanted to go over my Leica Q2 settings. As if you guys are familiar with my channel, you know that I love shooting with the Leica Q2. So I just kind of wanted to go over the settings that I have for whenever I go out and shoot, both in a professional setting and just on street photography and out and about in town. So for this camera, I like to keep everything pretty simple and standard. So I only have a couple profiles here on the camera. I only have one for everyday shooting. So that's just me walking around town or just doing like a street photography session, anything like that. And the second one is my for any type of shoot. So if I'm doing a wedding or a portrait shoot or anything like that, if I'm taking this camera along, that's the settings that I have it at. So to just go over some basic settings here for my street photography, I usually for drive mode, I keep it into single. I don't do a lot of like continuous multiple shot photos unless I'm doing a shoot. You know, if I'm doing an event or something like that, but single is usually my way to go. For the focusing mode, I usually keep it in single shot autofocus. Again, unless I'm doing any type of event work, single shot works great. As in for the focus mode, I usually do field or tracking. Those are the ones that I'm more comfortable with and the ones that give me the best results. So field, you can change how big your focusing spot is. So you can hold and that'll take you to the setting here, and you can go from small, medium, and large. I usually keep them between medium and large, and that usually works great for me. And for exposure metering, I usually do center weighted exposure or spot, but I usually like to just have a pretty even exposure. And if I want to underexpose, I use the dial here, and this dial helps with the exposure compensation. So if I want to under or overexpose, this is what I use. As in for the film style, if I'm shooting JPEGs and RAW, I like to just keep it natural because it just looks the most balanced to me. It's not oversaturated or undersaturated. Natural works very, very good for me. So I don't do a lot of monochrome. That's usually pretty intentional, but if I do any type of monochrome, I usually do it in post, and that's why I shoot in RAW. As for ISO, I usually just do manual ISO, especially since this button works great for that. When I got this camera, it took me a little bit to get used to that, but once I got used to it, it was no problem at all. It kind of really helped to just be pretty fast with the settings that I do on here. So I usually keep it in manual mode, but if I do want to just be even faster than that, I do auto settings sometimes for ISO, and the maximum that I have here is 3200. I usually keep the shutter speed at no lower than 1/25 because, you know, with motion blur and everything like that, I don't want to have like a lot of blurriness in my photos. So I'd rather have a grainy photo than a blurry photo, and that goes with, you know, event work. If you have any type of event work, most clients won't really care if you give them a grainy photo, but they definitely notice if you give them a blurry photo. For white balance, I usually keep it an auto white balance. It works great for this camera. I usually don't have any issues, but this camera is great if you want to switch between different modes, and here at the end if you want to use a gray card or if you want to change the color temperature yourself. So that's it for the actual settings that I do for my street photography stuff and when I'm out and about in the town. But if I'm shooting anything for like a paid job, like a wedding or a portrait session, I have this setting is just all manual. So you know, I just have to take it from automatic to so you can choose your shutter speed here, and then with this camera, your f-stop is actually here on the lens, so that's really helpful. So you can actually change your exposure triangle very quickly here. So here's the aperture, shutter speed, and your ISO. So that works really great if I want to have total control over the camera. But if I ever want to go and do anything auto, again, the camera is very good at having ways for you to just go into full auto. So you switch it here, you have an auto setting here for the aperture, an auto setting here for your shutter speed, and then you can also go to auto here on your ISO button. And everything else is basically the same. So the natural profile, again, I'm shooting all in RAW, so DNGs here, it's basically the same thing. And everything else works great. I usually carry a couple of batteries. One battery is usually enough for a session, but if I want to have just a peace of mind, if I'm going to have an extra battery, I bring an extra battery. And with this camera, you know, it doesn't have a battery compartment. It's just or a battery door actually. So you just pop it out here and it comes out like this. And so it's very easy to just switch out your batteries. So yeah, the other things that I added to this camera while I'm at it is this thumb rest, which helps a lot with the grip of the camera. And I also added a leather case that I put on here sometimes if I kind of want to dress it up, but usually I just have it like this because it's the most comfortable to hold like that. And I also added this strap that's actually from Matt Day in collaboration with Sleepwalk, and I'll link this in the description if you're interested in it. They're not paying me or anything, but I really like the strap. The length of it is very, very good, and the leather really softens up pretty nicely. So if you want something that's not like a rope, but you want something that kind of looks good and it's not just standard, I definitely recommend this strap. So yeah, that's it for this week's video. So if you have any questions about the Leica Q2 or the settings or anything like that, please leave them in the comment section below and I'll get back to you. I'm always down to talk shop, like I always say. And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. And if you're not subscribed yet, please subscribe for more videos, and I'll see you next time. Bye.